I was at Toronto Film Festival and I saw some movies and we're talking about them from worst to best. Let's do it. One of the films I saw was Enemies of the State. This is a documentary about Matt DeHart who seeks refuge in Canada after being targeted by the FBI. There's tie-ins to WikiLeaks and Anonymous, and there's a lot more to it that I won't spoil. This documentary looks professional and generally well-produced. There's interesting scenes where actors lip-sync over real audio from the refugee hearings. It is overall a well-made, interesting, and challenging documentary, although I have to say that it only really gets interesting after the slow first act. The beginning of this film felt like many other stories that I had already seen before. Thankfully, it did turn into something unique and interesting, but it did take a while to get there. This documentary is an hour and 45 minutes long, but it definitely could have been an hour and a half. Regardless, even though it could have been more concise with its information, it was still interesting and worth watching. So yeah, check this one out whenever you can, and I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Another film I watched was Spring Blossom by Suzanne Linden. This is a French film about a 16-year-old girl who becomes interested in an older man. Interestingly enough, this girl is played by the director, Suzanne Linden, who is just 20 years old now. This is her directorial debut, and she's clearly got some talent, so it'll be interesting to see what she does in the future. At only 73 minutes, this film has a short runtime, so it's not a huge commitment. There's good music and good performances throughout the film. It is well shot aside from some imperfect camera work at points. This film also has a really good sense of humor with some enjoyable, funny awkwardness. The main character is very watchable, and the naturalistic performances really help the experience. Not every scene works, and there was an interpretive dance table scene that was kind of weird. It also felt like the movie didn't really go very far with its plot. Everything in the film is set up very nicely, but it doesn't do a whole lot with it. Still, this movie didn't feel like a waste of time, which perhaps if it was longer, it might have. It was very well presented, and I'm excited to see what she does next. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Another film I saw was a documentary called The Truffle Hunters. This documentary is about a bunch of old Italian men who hunt for rare truffles in the forest. Now, what makes this documentary particularly interesting is its presentation. The majority of shots in this documentary are stationary without any movement, which is crazy with just how natural everything in this film is. Clearly, these shots had to have been set up in advance rather than following actions that are taking place. It's honestly a documentary that could easily disguise itself as being narrative fiction. If it weren't for how clearly natural everything in this film is, I would probably assume that it wasn't a documentary. It is very slice of life with plenty of intriguing and attentive conversations between people in the film. Although most of the shots in this film were stationary, they also had some cool POV sequences of the dogs hunting for truffles. Still, this film is not overly dramatized with fast-paced editing. It is a slow and patient film that really allows you to soak in the atmosphere and personality. And the personality is what makes this film's subject so watchable. There's lots of character to those featured on screen, and there's also a good variety of character. There's even a scene where some bougie women are sniffing different truffles in wine glasses. This film is not only silly, but also endearing. Overall, it's a very relaxing movie to watch. Now, with a runtime of an hour and 24 minutes, this is not a long movie, but it is still a slow movie. So don't go into this one expecting a linear plot progression or anything. This is a film that focuses more on character and environment. Anyway, I enjoyed this one and found it to be interesting throughout, so check this one out whenever you can, and I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. Stay tuned for more TIFF Quickies as we go through worst to best. Yeah, boy. Fuck! Fuck! Okay.
How many fuck? I had a fuck moment.
Fuck! 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 Fuck!
I did a fuck.